paid or free events? Should you charge for your events? What if people desert me? How much should I charge? Now, if you stick with me, I'll share with you the answers to these questions. And stick with me right to the end, because I'll give you also one final secret that will actually help, hopefully, enlighten you and convince you that you do need to look at this a little bit more closely and that there are some hidden benefits for you. Okay, let's start. Should I charge for my events? Well, look, I'm here to tell you, yes, I've been in that position myself. I had once been in a position where I was running lots of free events, or, I'd been in a position where I'd questioned, should I charge for this or should I charge not for it? However, reality is a funny way of intersecting with you at a time when you least expect it. I had ran my events and found it very difficult to meet a lot of the costs, even for something as simple as running a coffee meeting get-together. And I ran that event as a free event. I thought I was doing a service to my database by doing just one little tiny event for free. However, what did I discover? I attracted people who wouldn't buy even a coffee at those meetings. They wouldn't even buy a bite to eat. And yet at the other end, there were people there who were willing to actually buy food and drinks and so forth. However, what did the cafe say to me when the people that they discovered were sitting at the table who hadn't even ordered anything? They said, David, we will have to kick you out of this venue because you've got a lot of people coming along to your event and they're not buying even anything. They're just simply requesting water and drinking it, and then they go home. And I thought, wow, that's something that really hit me. It had to take the account of them telling me about my business and about my people. Now, I did kind of protest in some of my emails saying, hey, if you come along to this event, you'll have to buy a coffee or you'll have to spend some money or something, but it still wasn't quite enough. What I discovered later on, though, is that when I went, say, the full Monty and decided to really put a proper charge to it, not just merely a donation, immediately I started to see a completely different effect upon the type of people that come along and the type of people who didn't even appear at the first place. It's amazing just what a different effect that is upon people to begin with. If you start charging for something, you're going to attract a completely different type of person than that of the freebie crowd, say, for example. So it leads to the question, will my people desert me? I've got some sad news. Yes, they will desert you. Maybe not a lot of people. You could expect maybe, say, generally 20, maybe 30% of people will desert you, if not straight away, a little bit gradually over time, or they just simply won't respond and come along to events, if they have to pay. But did you really need those people anyway? And were you really doing a service for them, and for that matter, the other 80% or so that are willing to pay by being free all the time? Remember, it costs money to even run a free event. A free event will still cost some money to run. It costs your time. It costs a bit of time in researching that location. It costs a little bit of effort to write up something in an email, to post up those details on a website. That all costs time. And then to answer queries, how do I get to such and such a location? How do I get there? What's this like there? Do they have gluten-free? You're going to get asked a lot of different questions, even to run a simple little coffee meeting event. It's a fact. And imagine if that was something bigger, like maybe say you're running a book discussion group. And you might think, a book discussion group. Surely that can be free. No. You need to charge for some of these events because it's your time. And secondly, one factor that you're really forgetting is some people won't even come along unless there's a charge. They're expecting to pay. They're expecting to contribute. And if they're expecting to contribute, why deny them the privilege? You see, one of the big things you're going to get is a completely different mindset of people that come along. People that are willing to contribute, they're willing to respect the effort that goes into running events, and they're willing to respect your professionalism in doing so. So by paying for those events, they feel like they're getting the exchange of value. And remember, it's your exchange of value that you're giving of yourself in the process. So the question needs to be asked, what about market price? Should I be charging market price? I'd say to you, again, in this particular case here is, think of what the price is that you're willing to charge, and then maybe just back off just a little. So you may not want to go the full 100%. You may have been told, hey, charge what you're worth, which is one potential way of looking at it, but even then, that's an entirely emotive point of view. What I would suggest to do is do a little bit of research and find out what others are charging. Pick a figure that you feel comfortable with starting, and then work with that, and then work with that from there. I did have some events that years ago I charged probably half the price that I do today. And even as I moved up the price tag by $5 or $10 increments and so forth, there was sometimes a little bit of resistance. But on the other hand, there were some cases there where there was no resistance whatsoever. So I wondered to myself, what was I worried about? So by checking out the market price and then charging that or very close to that price, and remember, sometimes you might be exchanging a much larger benefit than that of what the regular market price may be for that event. So you may be undercharging even as it is. So it's worth your while to do a little bit of research in this area, but don't over-research it. That's the thing, don't over-research. Take some action, take a stab in the dark, and pick a price. And what's more, once you've got that price, you then have something else that you didn't have before. You have a little bit of a budget there that you can play with for marketing. You can't do that when you're doing a free event. But if you're charging a decent amount for your event, you have the ability to be able to plough some of that money back into the cost of marketing, whether that be Facebook ads or Google ads or whatever the case might be. Even if it's just simply photocopy brochures, I don't care. The main thing is you've got some money there available for a budget. And secondly, you've got to take some money home yourself, even if it's a mere simple little coffee event. Okay, I did promise to you one bonus secret here at the start of this. And my bonus secret is this. Get clear on what your money game is inside your head, your inner money game. Your inner money game will determine ultimately how you shape where your business is going. If your business is something completely outside of running events, the same applies to how you run those events versus how you run your business is going to be a part of how your overall money picture is inside your own mind. Now, you can arrive there by many different ways. Affirmations is probably one way, or by association, for example, the surroundings that you live in, the people that you mingle with, what your conversation is on a day-to-day basis. Those things all contribute to your inner money game. And these things then correspondingly contribute back to whether you should charge or not charge at all for your events. So my suggestion is the more you work on yourself in these areas, whether that be reading books, looking at videos on learning how to improve your beliefs about money, you'll correspondingly take the final action step and apply that to your business and the events that you run. So therefore I encourage you greatly to go from free to charging a fee and entertaining and giving your customers what they really, really want. And that is an exchange of value that both you and they feel happy about. If you like this video, please click like and share. And I'd love to see you also as a subscriber to my channel. This is David speaking.